Hello, it's Mr. Brown. This is a podcast for the 140 cabling class. This is a podcast to show us how to terminate our outlet jack. After we pull our horizontal cabling, the next thing we do is we terminate our outlet jack. This would be the one out by the user computer. Once that's terminated, then we can terminate our patch panel and actually test our cable run. So this is the next step after we do our horizontal cabling. So the tools we're going to need, just a couple basic ones. We do need our wire cutters. We do need our wire strippers. I have some small wire cutters in the toolkit. These are going to come in handy in a little while, and you'll see why. We do need our little outlet jack crimping tool. That's what this little guy looks like. He almost looks like a key ring. And then we'll need our outlet jacks. All right. So I want to set a couple things aside here just so I have a little room to work. I want to have my outlet jack handy. I need my wire stripper handy. And I'll start off with taking my horizontal cable. This is the horizontal cable that we pulled out to our work areas. We'll strip some insulation off. We don't need a whole lot off here, maybe like an inch like we do with doing a patch cable. So we'll strip that off, and just like we do when we're making a patch cable, I'm not going to continue to go around, because after it cuts my insulation, it's going to start cutting the wires inside. The next thing we need to do is we do need to fan out the wires so they can get terminated. But let's take a look at our outlet jack real quick to get an idea how this works. Okay, this style of outlet jack, the little red part slides off the back, and what will happen is the wires feed up through the bottom of this, and where the notches are up here on top, the wires fan out and lay some this way and some that way into the little notches. So I want to take a look at the color code to know best how to fan my wires out. So if I take a look at my color code, now this part's a little confusing the way the outlet jacks are. So let's kind of take a look at this guy. The way the color code is, I see a distinct color code up top, and then a black line and a distinct color code on the bottom. Well, if I look at the side, I'll actually see that there's a B color code printed across the top two rows, and the A color code printed across the bottom two rows. So the way this is set up is this jack is marked for either doing A color code terminations, which are the bottom two rows, or the B color code termination with the top two rows. But we're going to do B in here, so we're going to follow color code on the top two rows. Now that's still a little confusing, but if I carefully look at the side, it'll say up here bottom and top. So in other words, the bottom row of wires is this color code. So let me slide this off. Again, the way this is going to work, my wires get fed through the connector, and some are going to get pushed down away from you towards the bottom, and some are going to get pulled up towards you towards the top. So they're saying the wires that go to the bottom are this color code. The wires that go to the top are this color code. That's what they're trying to tell you with that color code. So it's a little confusing at first, but once you do it, it does make sense. So I'm going to take a look at that and realize the oranges are on the left, the browns are on the right, and again the blue-greens are in the middle, just like we do when we do a patch cable. So I'll rotate my cable, kind of get the browns over here on the right, oranges on the left, blue-greens in the middle. And if you want to untwist them now a little bit, you can do that. I kind of like to leave mine twisted once I put them through here, then do the untwist. That's just kind of how I like to do it. That maintains twist up to the termination point as much as possible. Now I'll carefully untwist my wires. Let me get it there in front of the camera for you. Untwist my wires. And then I can, once I get them untwisted, then I can start looking at which way the color code goes. And the nice part is, you'll notice, since you're dealing with solid wire now, once you untwist these, they stay that way because it's a solid conductor. But I also want to remember, being that it's a solid conductor, I don't bend these around a whole lot because they will start to break on me. So I do want to kind of treat them with some care. There's my green wires, and there you go. Last ones are the blue wires. Alright, so I'm going to read on my connector here, I'm going to read the top row of color code for the B, and the top row up here, the very top one, says these wires go to the bottom of my connector. So I'm going to need the orange wire. That's going to go down, and it's going to fit into the little notch down there. The next color is white blue, so I'm going to take that one and I'm going to bend it towards the table. That's what it amounts to. Over here greens, get over here browns. Okay, there we go. The next one is the white blue. I'm going to bend that down towards the table. The next one is the blue. Bend that one down towards the table. And the last one over here is the white brown. So I'll hook that in the notch and bend that towards the table. So there's my bottom row of color code. The top row of color code is the white, orange, white, green, green, brown. So white, orange up this way. I'll then take my white, green, green, and brown. When you go to terminate this in lab, this would be a good time to have your neighbor or me double check, make sure you're good. And once they're bent like that, if I look at it this way, it seemed a little odd, but when I look at it this way, the wires come in and barely untwist till they go to their termination point. So it's a pretty unique jack design. Now, the next thing that needs to happen is this red part needs to slide onto the white part of the jack. Well, when I do that, I'll see these wires in the bottom are in the way. That's where this little wire cutter comes in handy. This will allow me to go right down this line of cables here and nip them off. Once they're nipped off, then this will slide onto my outlet jack just like that. And when I look at it, I see the metal pins in there, the metal V's in there will get forced into the wire. The wire's insulation will get cut by the metal V's and we'll have electrical contact there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my little crimping tool here, place my connector into the tool, and the way it's organized, or I should say the way this is created, there's a little cam back here that will help squeeze this connector together and get the termination, basically force the wires into those metal V's. So I'm going to squeeze it until I hear a little click. There's my click. And I'm going to double check to make sure we have a good crimp here. If there's any gap, what's handy to do sometimes is literally flip this over and do it from the other side as well. And make sure that's nice and tight in there. Once that is, I'll come back with my trimmer, and again, I'll go snip, snip, snip right down the line. At this point, my outlet jack is terminated. Once I punch into my patch panel on the other end, punch this cable into the patch panel on the other end, then I can actually hook a meter up and test this for continuity. So there's your outlet jack termination. Not too hard, but you know, the first time you look at this is a little confusing. So there you go.